The message popped onto my phone on my 45th birthday morning, cold as ice. No one's getting any gifts this year. We're cutting costs. Happy birthday. I stared at the screen, hoping it was a joke. Some twisted sense of humor Clarissa had developed. Overnight, it wasn't. She'd left early, again probably another important meeting or team breakfast. I rolled out of bed, walked downstairs to the empty kitchen, and started a pot of coffee for one. The house was silent. You know, the kind of quiet that makes you realize just how alone you really are, even if you're technically married. By midday, the silence turned into a heavy knot in my chest until I checked Instagram. There she was, Clarissa, my wife of 15 years, smiling under the Eiffel Tower with friends, champagne in hand. Beside her was a man I vaguely recognized. The caption, dream trip. #blessed, #Paris nights. I stared at the screen for 20 long minutes. Clarissa was in Paris on my birthday with another man, while telling me we were cutting costs. Something inside me snapped, not sadness, not rage. Just a cold realization of how deeply I'd been betrayed. Over the next few days, I turned into my own private detective. Bank records revealed months of secret charges, airline tickets, fancy hotels, expensive dinners all paid for with our money, while Clarissa lectured me about finances. Her affair with Damien Torres, a smug coworker she'd introduced me to at last year's Christmas party, was no random fling. It was calculated, planned, cold. I printed everything, texts, receipts, photos, organizing it meticulously, then placed it in a single envelope labeled simply, your move. I left it prominently in our bedroom. Then, I waited. When Clarissa returned home, humming cheerfully, the envelope awaited her. The scream that filled the house minutes later told me she'd found it. She stormed onto the porch, waving papers and screaming accusations, but there was nothing left for her to say. It's all there, I told her calmly. Months of lies, betrayal, every penny you stole from us to finance your fantasy life. She begged, she cried, she promised it meant nothing, but we both knew the truth. It meant everything. A week later, we sat across from each other at my lawyer's office. The evidence was clear. Clarissa had used company resources to finance her affair and covered Damien's personal debts. Even worse, Damien faced sexual harassment claims filed by multiple women from their office. Clarissa was fired the following week, publicly humiliated, her carefully constructed reputation collapsing around her. She came home broken, finally understanding the consequences of her actions, but it was too late. Marcus, she said one evening, desperately trying to reconnect, we can fix this. But I looked at her, finally seeing clearly after years of denial. There's nothing left to fix, I told her calmly. Our marriage ended the moment you chose someone else. I'm done pretending. In the end, Clarissa lost her job, her lover, and our marriage. She moved into a small apartment, struggling to rebuild a life she had so carelessly destroyed. Mia moved forward. I bought a quiet lake house, spent weekends working on my old Camaro, and learned to embrace solitude. I slept better than I had in years, free from the weight of lies and betrayal. I realized the greatest gift Clarissa had ever given me wasn't love or companionship, was clarity. It was understanding that some relationships aren't worth saving, that being alone was infinitely better than feeling alone with someone who never truly valued me. At 45, I finally understood that real closure didn't require an apology or forgiveness, acceptance. Today, as I sit here overlooking the peaceful lake, coffee in hand, I'm grateful, because sometimes, the truth really does set you free. To ask ChatGPT.